Great.
Okay.
Can you see me also?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we're interviewing the Vice President of Starbucks, Mr. Raman Bukkapatnam. It's a pleasure to be interviewing you today. My name is Shrikar Parsi, and I'm a sophomore at Strawberry Crest High School.
My name is William LeBrit, and I'm a junior at Strawberry Crest High School.
So before the interview, we just wanted to thank you for taking your time. We think that Starbucks is doing like many amazing things.
So the first question we wanted to ask you is, what were your company roots growing up, and how did that help you in landing a job at Starbucks?
Now, could you repeat that again, please?
So I said the first question we wanted to ask you was, what were your company roots growing up, and how did that help you to get a job at Starbucks?
Okay, so initially I was with a company called Tata Consultancy Services.
Okay.
And that company, I was doing consultant in the field of ERP, especially the supply chain management and the corresponding financials related to it. So as I was doing a project for Starbucks, they got to know my skills and experience in the ERP. ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning that take care of end-to-end supply chain or financials for companies. So as I got that experience, and specifically for the retail industry and also for the non-retail industry, Starbucks was looking for people who have both the domain knowledge in the retail field and also the IT or technology knowledge.
Okay.
So they hired me as I was consulting through this company to Starbucks.
Okay. So what do you do in your position right now?
So I lead the engineering and quality assurance for the entire back office application. When I say back office application, it's all the supply chain, finance, and store development of stores, and in addition, all the channel or the CPG business. So my team does all the engineering and all the QA and all the support for all the backend systems.
Okay, cool.
So what was your most difficult decision you made getting into this position, like on your way here? The most difficult decision that you had to make?
Yeah. So the most difficult decision, couple of things, right? As you grow into any company in your job, there are two things that always come. One is having the right technical knowledge to get things done. And the second component is, how do you get it done? It's not good enough for you guys to have the knowledge, but how can you convince others that you have the knowledge and what you are telling is the right thing for them? So my biggest challenge was making sure that I bring the rest of the teams along with me, making sure they trust me, making sure they collaborate with me and I collaborate with them. End of the day, it's not my output or their output. It's our combined output. So my biggest job was in making sure that they trust me as I go through. And this is applicable anywhere in any profession you go. How do you get the trust of your leadership and your direct reports so that you can lead them through all the difficult situations and all the successful situations?
Okay.
So how were you able to get that trust built, like with you and your colleagues?
So, see, trust, right? Trust is not only important in your professional life, but also in your day-to-day life.
Okay.
And if a friend wants to trust you, or if a teacher wants to trust you, or you want to trust somebody, how do you build it? The number one thing you need to look at is, hey, what can I do for that person? It's not always about you, but hey, that person is asking for help. Okay. Even though there is nothing in return from me, how do I help them? Yes, helping does not give me anything in return directly, but it gives you trust. And not only trust, you get better at communicating and collaborating with people because they start trying to flock around you because You are the one with whom they can speak in a very safe environment in a trusted way.
It's interesting. So how long did it take you to rise up to the corporate level and kind of gain this trust from the your employers?
Yeah. So typically I joined, when you look at a typical growth curve, people join as a developer coder, then they slowly become an architect, then they become a manager, then director, then vice president. So it took me almost 15 years to grow from a developer to an architect to a manager and then to a director and the vice president. So the biggest thing I say as you grow, it took 15 years. The biggest thing is when you are in the initial stages and when you are individual contributor, all about performance. You need to perform, you need to get things done. But as you grow, it's not just your individual performance. The second piece is how do people look at you? And how do you look at yourself? That's called perception. How do people perceive you? Do they perceive you as just an individual contributor, or a manager who can bring people together, or a director who can bring an entire unit together, etc.? So the perception. So individual performance, perception. The next one is the visibility. And last but not the least, especially to go from a manager to director to vice president of any company, how do you influence others?
Okay.
Because everybody will have the knowledge. Everybody has come to the director position or as a vice president. How do they feel that you are one of them and they can promote you? So how do you influence them?
So like kind of looking back on your experience as a whole into getting to the position where you are you satisfied with how you've done everything, or are there any mistakes you've made that you would have liked to have changed?
Yeah. So more than the mistake, hindsight 2020, there are always better ways to do things. And sometimes you get them through the experience. And if I want to go back and get things done, there is nothing in particular that I want to change overall. But there are certain things at each of these phases. Whatever I learned, I'm taking forward and applying. But at the same time, if I had known some of these things, I could have influenced more people in a better way. So that's where I said nothing to change, because I love what I'm doing and I love my growth. But at the same time, if I had known some of these things, because there is no right or wrong answer, like in math, 3 2s are 6. But in a real world, it's not always like that. One work, a project, or a task can be done in 5 different ways. What is the right way to do at that given point with the right resources available at that?
Okay.
Okay.
So as a teenager, did you see yourself coming to this position? And if you did, what steps did you take to maximize your efforts in these goals?
So you forward back as a teenager, right? So as a teenager, we are totally focused on getting things done. How much I can contribute individually, how much I can contribute individually, and how can I stay at the top? Yes, that's good. But as you do, the best advice I give it to any teenager, or to myself if I'm back a teenager, how do I gain the trust of the leaders? And how can I bring people together? How we can collaborate together? So it's more about influencing others to follow our ideas or my ideas. So that's where I would encourage you guys to make sure you influence the leaders in your organization or in other places, so that they quickly get attracted to you, they trust you, and then quickly you can grow from there.
Okay. So outside of your family, who has been your biggest influence in your development that's helped you to achieve the things you've done?
Yeah. So one is family, parents. And the other two people, one, there are a couple of teachers, especially in my 10th grade. And the number one thing they taught us is, one, they taught us the open book system. Two, they always thought about if the top highest mark you could get is 100, how do you benchmark yourself against that 100? Not anybody in your class. See, you can compare with the top in the class or who else is, no. What could you achieve as the top, and how can you achieve that? So that's one, comparing to the top and making sure that you are working towards it. And number three is, I had multiple bosses, and a couple of them are totally focused on elevating others, which in turn elevates them automatically. And as a leader, surround yourself with the best of the guys. Always hire people better than you to be around you, so that all of you can grow quicker. So my bosses and my team, my next biggest influence after my parents.
Okay. So has there been anything besides other people in your life that have inspired you to pursue this passion that you have?
More than the people, it comes within. Yeah, so I had the passion to lead a company, to become a CPO, and it's the fire within. Yes, other people can help you, nudge you, but unless you have it in yourself, and the way we call it, or I call it, is, especially in the field of technology, curiosity. You need to have the curiosity, and you need to have the innovative capability within you to help you.
So what do you think is like most important in this field, the degree or like real life experience when it comes to these positions?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question because many people ask me. So number one thing, you need the degree because it's more of a social norm, because many people still look at degrees. But at the same time, the advantage you get going through the degree is you know all the basics, or you get exposed to the basics. So I'm never going to say skip your degree. Always do the degree because you are being exposed to the basic foundation. And in addition, it's a social norm. But the most important thing is experience. And I put experience in three different facets. One, you can learn by reading and watching other people's experiences. Two, sometimes you learn by your own experiences and your own mistakes. And there is a third facet where they never learn even though they are having this experience. So I would recommend you to focus on listening, talking, observing other successful leaders, and try to make sure that you need not experiment it again because you already saw it, and whether it is good or bad or it's okay, you already have all the information. So end of the day, I say it's a combination of your degree, which gives you the foundation, and the experience you get observing others and for yourself. And if I just make it simple, it's just like you guys getting a driver's license. Driver's license is mandatory for you to drive. Doesn't mean that you're an expert driver. Once you start driving, you get the experience. So you need to have the degree. And degree is the entry criteria. It's a minimum entry criteria. Then make sure you observe others. There are experiences. You gain experience, learn from your experience, and go from there. So both are important. Yeah.
Okay. So like going back to like experience, like how did you figure out most of these like tips and tricks that like got you to this position?
So tips and tricks, right? I'll go back to the initial point, right? First, I said trust. How do people trust you, and how can you influence them? That's number one. Number two, how do you do that? showing curiosity, and always being collaborative. And last but not least, you need to be ahead a step or two, because there is a lot happening. And I'll give you an example. For us, there are three things that Starbucks looks into when they try to look at people, how they're performing. One is achieving results. That means you need to get the output, achieving results. Two, following the mission values of the company. Third, helping others. And why does Starbucks put helping others as a criteria for anybody to grow? So there is a very simple reason. And there were many people, oh, why do I help others? I just do my work, come back home. Yeah, you can do your work and come back home. But what you are unknowingly doing in helping others is raising your leadership skills. You're helping somebody in some way or other. That means you are mentoring them, or coaching them, or teaching them technology, or just being a friend and helping them in a given situation. So that's the reason why we have that helping others, even though there is no immediate benefit, but in the long run, that's nurturing your leadership skills.
Okay, so
that's the most important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you said a little bit about how important helping others is to Starbucks. So how is the work environment in which you work at Starbucks? Is everybody as trusting as you are, or as trusted as you are, and have such positive relationships with everybody? Or
yeah, absolutely. Great question. Trust is never one directional. Mm-hmm. It's bi-directional. And at Starbucks, it's a very, very trustworthy environment. And interestingly, people may ask, hey, you say you trust each other. How can it happen? Are you going to check things, etc.? Yes, trust, but sometimes you need to verify. So you give them the space and the bandwidth to do things, but as a leader, you need to verify, validate. And sometimes call them, hey, how are things? Or sometimes you yourself looking at the output, how are things? And if they have not done it to your expectations and quality, yes, tell them how to do it, coach them, mentor them. Trusting and trustworthiness is a huge, huge thing at Starbucks. And the second piece is collaboration. The collective we are definitely better than a single I. So end of the day, to your point, William, most of the people and most of the departments are fully trustworthy, but the leaders validate and verify just to make sure things are going back.
Okay.
So you talked about like curiosity, right? And then how that's like a main thing for like, especially in this field in particular. So like, how do you empower your empower others to be this curious? Like, do you have any tactics for that to like enhance curiosity?
Yeah. So Starbucks, right? We have 28,000 stores across the world, and all the systems should be working almost 24/7, because when it's day in some places, it's night, and vice versa. And 80% of the time, we all spend making sure those stores are running. What about the rest 10-20%? That's where Starbucks encourages innovation, where it's not a big time or a big thing. They say 2 to 4 hours per week. Make sure that you are looking at things which are into the future, which can make a difference for Starbucks and create some competitive advantage for Starbucks. So end of the day, QD innovation. Yes, you can make time, but you cannot force anybody. Unless you have it built in yourself, we can create all the tools and the avenues, like giving 4 hours off, giving some money so that they can leverage the money to buy tools and innovate, or sending people to conferences, etc. Starbucks does a lot of those conferences and training sessions. We invest in training for thousands of people every year. We do all of those things, but end of the day, you need to spend at least half an hour per day or 2 hours per week to learn something new that could be good for you and also for your company. So the tactic is Starbucks does conferences, they use tools, they send us to various training sessions, but end of the day, it's up to you how to do that.
So in your time at Starbucks, what type of results have you produced and how have you contributed to the success of Starbucks?
Okay, so results, right? We are a technology and our main thing is to enable the people in the stores and also in the business to spend less time with the system and more time with the customers and the value add thing. So for example, the biggest thing we have done is if you go into the stores, etc., many of the operations, instead of they doing manually, they use iPads and iPods to count the inventory or receive things in the store. They don't manually type it in any longer. Now we are doing some innovative stuff wherein instead of typing things in to receive something in the store or to put away in the store, we are using Google's and Alexa's where they can speak and the systems automatically decrements inventory or increments inventory.
Wow.
And the other big thing we are doing is we have coffee machines. Every store has 2 to 4 coffee machines on an average. And look at 28,000 stores times 4, more than 100,000 coffee machines. So we started installing these new coffee machines which have Wi-Fi and they're connected to IoT. We get all the data from them in seconds and minutes. After we make 1,000 or 10,000 drinks, we need to service it. Today we count it and call the supplier, hey, come and service it. Now with this Internet of Things, the system automatically after the usage of 10,000 cycles or 5,000 cycles, sends a purchase order to the vendor and they come and fix it. Even temperature. If you look at Starbucks, you go in, a lot of sandwiches and drinks there. There is air conditioning there and the coolers are there. So today, many of the shops, they go with a thermometer every 4 hours and the baristas check is the temperature okay? Is it too low or too much? But we are doing proof of concepts or pilots wherein we put small sensors. They directly send the information to the computer and if they are beneath the threshold or beyond the threshold, automatically alerts go them and people can come and fix. So technology is huge for Starbucks. People may not see it from the front side, but we have 15,000 employees, technology, full-time working to keep all these stores up and running.
So do you think that the rise of technology in Starbucks is gonna lead to some decline in jobs in Starbucks or?
See, at this point, what I know of Starbucks, I have been there at Starbucks 18 years. There is always more work than the number of people we have.
Mm-hmm.
2, even the new technologies come, the biggest asset with Starbucks and the biggest thing Starbucks is doing is training these employees on those new tools.
Mm-hmm.
So we are always current and we are relevant. We are enhancing our skills and helping Starbucks skills. So we do not see any challenges, issues. Otherwise, I would have been here for 18 months because I learned a lot of things like blockchain, like Internet of Things. In the last 4 years, 5 years, I learned. And Starbucks provides avenues for training, conferences, etc.
So what would you recommend the next generation of entrepreneurs do to pursue their passions in high school?
So a couple of things, right? Technology for technology's sake is not going to get anything. Try to find out a real world problem and see how technology could enhance or enable a solution for that. So that's my biggest advice. Say, for example, iPad, video games. Video games is huge. Video games or the game theory is being used today to train most of our baristas in all the stores. There are 28,000 stores. In the US alone, there are 10,000 stores. So all the training through video is sent to them, and then through that gamification, they learn. So try to figure out what the real use case for the world is, and then think about technology, how to solve.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. And we think that the company is amazing, and like what you do is truly amazing. So thank you so much for your time once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and all the best to both of you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.